Promised, today's guest is Chris Dyson, the sales director of How to Manage a Small Law Firm. How to Manage a Small Law Firm is the country's leading experts for providing services for COO, CEO, and CFO services for single share small law firms. And Chris is going to share today how many law firms have to get past that I'm a lawyer and into the entrepreneur mode, and how easily How to Manage a Small Law Firm can do that for them. So first of all, Chris, welcome to today's show. I hope my introduction to you was correct.
Thank you, Michael. Close enough, Mike. Close enough.
Terrific. And let's start. Let's jump right into it. Let's start with the idea that lawyers, let's assume they're technically proficient in what area of practice that they like. They want to, they know what they do and this, that, and the other. But let's share for example, the three examples of lawyers, things that they are not taught in law school that can really hinder their growth when they open up their own law firm.
Yeah, Mike, there's three things, and these are the things that entrepreneurs understand when they come out of business school, but of course they don't teach the lawyers this in law school, right? And it's really when you come out as a business person, you have to understand who your target market is, what value proposition you're providing to that target market, and what your pricing structure is going to be purely based on the value proposition. Not what somebody else is charging plus or minus 10%, not what somebody told you the rate should be, just on the value. It's just a factor of the value that you're providing. So the first two of those three are really the most important. The last one, the pricing, is merely a byproduct, and that's the one everyone always seems to get caught up on.
Okay, now, excellent answer. And I think a couple of things you said, many things that always catch me as interesting, and they certainly make sense really in any business, but certainly for lawyers. What is it? The one I really like is when you said many lawyers, they make just enough money to be miserable, and yet they just can't break through. Why don't you, I'm paraphrasing, of course, here. What is that you say exactly?
Well, when you go to law school, nobody dreams of being broke and, coming out of law school and having a massive bill and then, hey, being broke, right? And you always seem to make enough money as a lawyer just merely by the synergy and the energy behind your profession. You'll make enough to get by. So you never really feel completely lost or broke. Unfortunately, as your career moves forward and as your family grows and as your interests expand, your income may not expand with it, right? And suddenly we're finding ourselves with a lot less disposable income, and now years turn into decades, and you look back and say, oh my gosh, how come I don't have anything saved? How come I don't have the house that I want? How come I can't spend as much time doing pro bono work because I'm scrambling, working hours just to get by? And we call it staying inside your tornado. And the longer that tornado spins and the bigger it gets, the worse it gets and the harder it gets to pull yourself out of it, because now you're beholden to your basic responsibilities. Sure, you're making enough to get by. Technically speaking, you're going to eat and everything's going to be okay. But it's all about moving forward and getting better. And if you don't address it sooner, you're going to have to address it later, and it becomes a lot more painful later.
That's correct. I love that. And also to go right on top of that, Chris, there's this idea that lawyers somehow, it's inherent to their career path or choice of profession that they have to, have this massive sacrifice and suffering. It's inherent to that, to the law industry. Why don't you share
right.
on top of what you just said, how that isn't true whatsoever?
Right. Well, the doctrine of sacrifice, right? And I'm glad you asked it in this order, because that's exactly how it plays in. Of course I'm miserable. Of course I'm broke. I'm a lawyer. That's my job, right? As though you being miserable and broke somehow helps your clients or helps your family or helps your cause, right? Yeah, it's this whole thing that it's sort of embedded. It's embedded within a lot of people, but lawyers have really seemed to corner the market on this whole idea that they need to suffer to prove that they're a good lawyer, to prove that they're worthy of the mantra of being an attorney. And it's not true. You don't need it. Do we make individual sacrifices for a greater good? Do you give up a weekend with your friends to work on your business plan? Sure you do. Do you, same reason you avoid carbs and sugars when you're trying to lose weight, right? You're delaying the gratification to work towards a greater goal. That's not the doctrine of sacrifice. That's a plan. Suffering for suffering's sake is what we're trying to avoid and get rid of.
Correct. Absolutely true. And I've seen it happen firsthand. Now, on top of that, you always talk about something I find to be incredibly groundbreaking is how the laws of nature really apply to all businesses, but too
Right.
many lawyers coming in who are caught in that rut, for lack of a better term, will share that, well, these don't apply to me because
Right.
I'm a left-handed
Yeah.
lawyer in Montana that fly fishes, or, why don't you expand upon that, Chris? That's another big
Right. Yeah, I mean every business has to address the 7 parts of their business, right?
one.
No matter what business you're in. If you're in cars, if you're in trees, if you're in the law, it doesn't matter. You have to have your physical plan covered. Whereas you have to have your factory done, the policies, procedures, and systems. You have to do sales. You have to do marketing. You have to have financial controls. These are things that every business needs. Now, you just happen to be a person who sells legal services.
Right.
And once you accept that, and once you accept that you're bound by the laws of nature within your industry, just like everybody else is, you start to think differently about the decisions you make now and going forward.
Terrific. And those 7 stages, facets to a business, I've seen firsthand how you teach those, and they do apply. I have come away from your live quarterly meetings as a guest speaker, and I sit in there, and I like a sponge. I take in that information that has absolutely
Right.
helped my business. So it certainly applies. Also, another thing that is incredibly important and critical to a lot of businesses are the 4 stages of growth that every business has, especially law firms. If you could briefly touch on those, please, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk just for law firms because the stages are the same. But since we're working with this audience here, there's 0 to 250, and we're talking about gross revenue. That's all about defining who you are to the marketplace. I'm here. This is what I do, and it's all about marketing and sales at that stage. Then there's 250 to 500, which is sort of that next big growth stage. From there, you start to implement policies, procedures, systems at the very early stages, and you start to add staff, whether inside or outside, to start removing you from responsibilities instead of adding more responsibilities onto you, because that's what makes a business sustainable and repeatable. Now, 500 to a million is that third stage of growth, and now we're really to the point where you're just about out of most of the day-to-day operations of that business. You are the face of the franchise type of thing. You are policies and procedures and systems driven. You are now exponentially adding value to your business.
Correct.
And then we have the group that's $1 million and above. And whereas 500 to a million is still mostly a tactical type of mindset, $1 million and above is a very strategic mindset. Why? Because now we can have some fun. Now you've made it. Now your business runs without you, and you can go off and start to do all these beautiful, interesting things that you always wanted to do.
Right, right. You're right. And Chris, that's incredible information. If I'm a lawyer watching or listening to us by now, I'd be getting excited as hell to see how I can explore this further. How could a lawyer, for example, if I'm watching this, who is your target audience? Let's begin with that. Does this apply to every law firm? Who is kind of your wheelhouse watching this today? Who is your target
Right.
client?
Well, I'm glad you said that because, like we talked in the first question, right? Everybody has to have a target client because we're all not perfect for everybody. It's really important that everybody understands that. Our target market is a single shareholder law firm. It can have other associates. It can have 100 people in it. It doesn't matter. But there's one person who is driving that business and one person who makes decisions in that business. And it's a person who's willing to take action, willing to push through the terror barrier to get them to that next level of personal, professional, and financial growth. That is our ideal A-plus client.
Love it. You're absolutely correct. And so again, I'm watching this now. I'm saying, okay, this applies to me. How could a lawyer contact you?
The way that we operate is we have a great team here. So if you send information to either Chris, C-H-R-I-S, at howtomanageasmalllawfirm.com, which I'm sure you'll spell out for everybody.
Absolutely.
If you go to our website and you go to howtomanageasmalllawfirm.com/appointment, you will also get to a member of my team who will respond back to you. And if you just go to the website in general, there'll be a place there to click on, and that automatically feeds through to a member of our team. And then what happens is anybody who's interested first comes to an orientation, which are run once a quarter. the day before our live quarterly meeting, which gets all these great entrepreneurs. This is the thing you talked about. One place for a day and a half. It's fun, it's dynamic, and you learn a ton. But really, in my mind, the benefit is being around these other great entrepreneurs to really find out how they did it, how they do it differently, and how they can help you. And then, so we run those once a quarter. The next one's coming up here really quickly on the 24th. But then, of course, we've got another one coming up on October 17th and 18th in Miami. So anybody who would be interested at least exploring whether or not this whole thing makes sense to them and allow us to meet them to make sure there would be one of our A or A-plus clients, then that would be the next step, to just sort of go through, contact us, get the info, and then be prepared to come to the orientation on October 17th or 16th, whatever that day is in Miami.
Correct. And your information is being displayed as everyone's watching this here, your phone numbers, your email address,
Right.
and URL. And what I love about, I'll be attending my 6th straight LQM, and what I love about it is I've been able to see over a 1.5 year period, lawyers come in physically looking beaten up, where I've seen the
Right.
transformation in just the way they look. Not that this is a health club or a fitness guru type thing, but let's face it, when things are going well, you look better, you feel better, you sleep better, life is better, just
Of course
generally
you do.
better. But I mean, I've seen it with
Right.
my own eyes and ears, and the neat thing about it is, everyone watching today, lawyers watching, is this isn't a one and done. This isn't like some revival meeting where you're going to see the light and your life's going to change in one meeting, and then you meet once a year and you send in a bunch of money and no one helps you. The staff at How to Manage a Small Law Firm, from Chris, who's in sales, they're lawyers. I'm talking about Ivy League educated lawyers that work for How to Manage a Small Law Firm, that are going to act as your COO, your CFO, your CEO, yet
Right.
alone the peer group you have, which you touched on, Chris, at these live quarterly meetings. You will make friendships. I have seen it. I have clients, mutual clients, who are now that the synergy, the energy, the mentoring you get from every different angle, it's a guaranteed
Right.
winner. I have never seen anything like this, and I've been in the world of the top gurus, the Dan Kennedys of the world, who's outstanding, and his books are wonderful. But what I am watching, what Arjan Robbins, who has founded this, and Chris and Heather and Chris Anderson and Brooke and everyone, I could go on and on. I'm leaving numerous names out. And the lawyers that have benefited from this, it's absolutely something that every lawyer watching this should really be a part of. Well, Chris, as always, it's a pleasure to have you and speak with you. You and I could go on talking about our favorite pastime, Boston sports, but folks, we'll
We'll
take
keep
sports
it
off
to,
the.
we'll stay happy. Just to stay in a good mood, we'll keep it where it's
You
at.
got it. We'll end on that. But to see lawyers fulfilling the dreams, everyone, please contact Chris, How to Manage a Small Law Firm, at the information shown below. Chris, as always, it's been a pleasure. You're first class. I look forward to seeing you in the near future, and I will catch up. Always, thanks for your time, and really thanks for all the work you do for lawyers and the difference you make in their world. It's great talking to you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Same here, Mike. Thank you.
All right, yep. I'll be back with my final thoughts for today's show.